Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am so excited today because I am in one of my most favorite places. I am in Buena Vista, Colorado, on the banks of the Arkansas River. We have a friend here who has a 20-acre lot, and he has his own little private campground here for his kayaker friends. I couldn't be more grateful. This is probably the one place that we spend the most time throughout our year of travel. We come here in the spring runoff is happening, the river is raging, and the kayaking is amazing. Well, that couldn't be a more perfect lead-in for the subject of today's video. What is all that stuff on your roof? Today, I'm gonna take you into the nitty-gritty and all the fun stuff that I carry on the roof of my Winnebago Revel. Now, we're a family of whitewater kayakers, and honestly, that is one of the main reasons we started traveling, was to chase the rivers of North America, to be there at the prime time when these rivers are at their peak. The rapids are the biggest, the rowdiest, and to allow us to explore this beautiful country by the rivers. So, in our original vehicle, our Winnebago View that we had, 9 years ago, we pulled behind us a trailer, and we would bring 28 kayaks. And we would have kayaks for all different sorts of things. We've got kayaks that are made to surf waves in the river. We've got others that are made to go down really hard whitewater. We have sea kayaks, we have fishing kayaks, we have stand-up paddle boards. You name it. If it's anything closely related to a kayak or something you can play with on a river, we've had it in our trailer at one time or another. Then when we decided to downsize and go into our Winnebago Revel and be able to travel more internationally, we had to leave a few things behind. Now, a lot of you guys comment on the videos and on social media about, what are all those things on the roof, those big colorful things? Well, those are our whitewater kayaks. Sometimes we have surfboards, sometimes we have river surfing surfboards, and today I'm gonna take you through all of that, and we're gonna have a look on the roof. All right, so as you can see, the back of my Winnebago Revel has a lot of stuff on it. We've got a mountain bike, we've got the Owl Expedition box, which honestly I don't know how I would live without it. It is such a key storage space. And a full-size spare with a tire bag by Overland Gear Guy. So, the original Revel ladder, while I found it extremely useful in that I loved how it came off and I could move it to anywhere I wanted along the side of the van, I just needed the space on the back of the van. So that required me to go to a fixed side ladder. Now this is a side ladder from Summit Products. They're the same company that's made my roof rack. And it is just a fixed side ladder. Now the important thing for me with the side ladder is its location. A lot of people like their side ladder to come up right between their rear wheel and the cassette toilet. And it comes up and it looks beautiful right there. It kind of rides on the front side of the flare, and it is really nice. But that doesn't work for me because I've got my two crossbars here. And when I have kayaks on there, it makes a giant overhang that you can't even access the roof if it's fully loaded up and the ladder was there. So I need my ladder to be in front of my crossbars, and that's gonna allow me to still get onto the roof even when the roof is completely loaded with 6 kayaks. You might say 6 kayaks, why do you need 6 kayaks? Well, there's typically 3 of us. If each of us has a kayak, 2 kayaks each, which seems maybe a little excessive to a lot of you guys, but to us, we normally would like to travel with at least 3 kayaks each for the different types of paddling that we do. A lot of times, even if it's just Kathy and I, and we've only got 3 kayaks on board, which is kind of us traveling light, we will then have river friends along the way. You know, we'll need to run shuttles on these rivers where we'll put in at the top of the river and we'll paddle down and we'll take out at the bottom. And that really requires us having a car, or a van in this case, on each side of the river. So I need the ability to load up friends' kayaks on there and drive to the top of the river, or pick up people at the bottom of the river and drive them back to the top. So having extra rack space for more boats than we normally carry is pretty critical for us to be good partners in paddling the river, to be able to help our crew out with the shuttle. We also like having some free rack space to put surfboards or sea kayaks, or who knows what else needs to go up on the roof. And it's nice just having a little bit of extra space. Now my crossbars here are extra grande. They, if you can see them here, they stick out the same distance as my mirror, as my side mirror. That gives me the ability to get 6 kayaks on the roof. If it was the normal length of the Revel crossbar, I could probably only get 4 kayaks on the roof, maybe 5. But having the longer crossbars gives me the ability to get 6 boats up there. So with all that said, the placement of my side ladder is critical to the function of my roof rack. You know, if it was in the wrong place, it's gonna really limit what I can do on my roof, how many boats I can carry, and if I can make it onto the roof or not when I need to. This is the one time of the year where we might not have anything on our roof. Everything is kind of pulled down right now because we're kayaking every day, and we have lots of friends here with cars. It makes it real easy for us to shuttle up to the river, and I've got everything off the roof right now. So this is a great time for me to take you on a tour of the roof. Let's go up and see what's going on. Thanks so much to our Patreon members. If you join our Patreon, link right here, you will be able to take advantage of our latest Baja Field Guide. This is a complete guide to Baja from our trip this winter, and it answers every question that we wished we would have known before we crossed the border into Mexico. Everyone else, thank you for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button down below. It means a lot. It really helps our channel grow. All right, let's go up to the roof and check it out. I climb this ladder at least once, if not 3 times a day. It feels pretty empty up here right now. It's very rare that I don't have something up here more than there is now, but here's a couple of key things that I've done to make my roof functional for me. What do we got? So the ladder, like I said before, it brings me up right in front of the 2 crossbars. Now these crossbars are added on from what Winnebago delivers. So right as you come up the ladder, I have 2 max tracks here, and I have 2 more max tracks there. Now each one of these max tracks pin kits that goes on this max tracks holder that I got from Agile Off-Road will hold 4 max tracks. So technically I could put them all here, I could put them all here, but what I like is having 2 places to stand. As I step up here, it's not just onto the aluminum max tracks mount, which is fairly strong, but probably not strong enough to be walking on it day in and day out. Now this front rack, knowing that it's gonna get a lot of traffic, it has been engineered to put the max tracks directly on the bar. It's just mounted underneath rather than on top, and it allows the edges of the max tracks to be sitting directly on the crossbars, which are the strongest part of the roof rack. The way that this sits on the bars makes it far stronger, but it only allows it to hold 2 max tracks here, which I'm totally fine with because I want the other ones here, because I do step on these occasionally, but this is the one I'm always stepping on. So that gives me a multifunctional standing platform to be able to get on my roof and not be walking around on the sheet metal itself. If you walk on the sheet metal of your roof, you can get away with that a little bit if you're careful where you step. But if you're doing it every day like I am, you're gonna eventually cave your roof in and end up with maybe, 1, it's just gonna look bad, but 2, you might actually get leaks and things. So I try to never walk on the sheet metal of the roof. I'm always on one of these platforms. Now then I have another platform here that goes between the crossbars. And this allows me, to walk over here, to pull up a boat, and then come over here and be able to walk in the middle of my crossbars and do what I need to do. And if I do need to go to the back, a lot of times I'm just putting 1 foot here and I'm just reaching for something. So the way this is shaped kind of like a T really gives me great access to my roof. It makes it easy for me to load what I need to do. It's safer than trying to balance around walking on the crossbars, and it's gonna hold up and make the roof of my van last longer. Now this middle platform that I'm standing on right now, this is a prototype roof platform by Summit Products. They pretty much decided not to make this, but I was lucky enough to test this for them, and I love it. I wish they would make this. I think it's, all these manufacturers of this stuff, Winnebago and everyone else, does not like the idea of people being on their roof. I should say the lawyers don't like that. Because, it is a high place, you fall off, you've got a good chance of injuring yourself. But, you know, I take that risk myself and I come up here and I do what I need to do, and I'm totally fine with that. But this standing platform that never really went into production has been an incredibly handy thing for me to have. Like I said earlier, I've got these two extended crossbars, and they go out, you know, this is probably 2 feet from the edge of the stock rack. Now, if you want to get these extended crossbars like I have, and they come with a tower and a crossbar, if you want to order these for your van, I'm going to put all the information you need down below with their phone number, the parts numbers, and you can call them up and order these and they'll ship them out to you. Tell them Peter Holcomb sent you. Now, on top of that, I have what is called a double rail rack. This is another prototype that Summit was working on, but really I think they thought it looked cool. To me, it gave me the ability to get my crossbars up high enough that when my boats are on here, they clear the air conditioner unit and they clear my max fan. That's the real reason that I have them on my van. It's critical that I have the height there to get over the air conditioner. So one, the boats aren't rubbing on it, and two, it doesn't possibly damage the air conditioner from boats bouncing around on top of it. In my first Revel van, I removed the air conditioner because I didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want to have to get my roof rack so high. But in this 2021 Revel, when they added lithium batteries and the ability to run your air conditioner off of batteries, that changed everything. And I really thought long and hard about removing this one, but the functionality in a hot place and a hot night, being able to use that air conditioner, oh, it's so nice. So I've raised the rack instead, kept the AC, and honestly, it's been a really great compromise. Okay, so let's kind of break down the roof here. I'm going to start at the front and we'll work to the back. Part of this prototype double rail Revel roof rack is that you gain a place to put a light bar on the front fairing. The front fairing, the Winnebago stock fairing goes away. This new front fairing goes on that gives it the extra height, and it gives you the ability to mount a light bar. So on here I have my Lightforce 40-inch dual row LED light bar, and this thing is so bright and it is so nice when you're driving on those dirt roads in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night. It just lights everything up like daylight. I love that. So having an easy way to mount that, and there are a lot of ways that you can put a light bar on any kind of rack, from a stock Revel rack to any of the other things that are offered. It's a wonderful addition to your Revel. But then as I work my way back, I've got some proximity lights. Some people call them scene lights. And basically, I've got 2 lights on the front, and I have 4 on the back. 2 on each side shoot out the sideways, 2 on the other side shoot out sideways, and then 2 are like super bright backup lights. When you're backing up a big van in the dark, in a forest, or somewhere with boulders and whatnot, it is really nice being able to light it up a little brighter than the stock backup lights. And I honestly think that's kept me out of trouble quite a few times, just having those extra lights to light everything up around me when I'm in those tight spots. The lights on the very back are a flood beam, so they aren't as bright, but they shoot out a nice even light that goes quite a ways back and gives me plenty of room to see when backing up. The side lights have a little more of a spot to them, and the ones on the front, I can flip these 2 front ones on separately and use those as I'm driving down a dirt road. I can flip them on and look at the little camp spots that are off the side of the road, and it gives me the ability to maybe see, for one, if there's somebody in there, or 2, if it looks like it's a good spot, and I can kind of see what's going on in there before I actually have to commit and pull in and shine my headlights in there to see what's going on. So these have been really helpful. They're also, when you turn all these on, it just lights up the whole area around the van. When you come in from an adventure late at night and you've got a lot of gear you're sorting, we're loading boats onto the roof, it is so nice just to pop these lights on, and I've got it like all daylight around the van. And we make sure that, 1, we're safe climbing up on the roof, and 2, we don't leave anything as we drive off into the darkness. Work our way back. The next thing back in line is our Starlink. Our Starlink is mounted on something called a star mount. You can go on starmount.com, I believe. I'll put a link down below. And he makes a couple of different mounts. This is the HD mount, I believe is what he called it. It's milled out of billet aluminum. It stands on 3 feet and it sits on magnets on my roof. Now, I drive a ton on dirt roads, as you guys know, following my channel, and a lot of washboard, and all this stuff is getting rattled around as I drive. I knew that if I put a magnet straight on my roof, it's gonna hold it on just fine, but it's also gonna wear away the paint. And as it wears away the paint, then I'm gonna get rust on my roof, and then I'm gonna have a big problem. So I thought long and hard on that, and I decided the best way to combat that is to get a big 3-4 inch washer, big heavy duty steel washer. And then I put VHB tape. It's a 3M product. It stands for very high bond. And I put this double stick tape on the bottom of the washer, and then I stuck the washer to the roof. So it sits on kind of a double stick tape that has a little bit of foam in between the sides. And now the magnets are sitting on the washers, so that wear is happening on the washers and not on my roof. And where the 3M tape, it's held on very securely, and I'm not getting any contact between metal and roof. And so that has worked really well. I'm really happy with that. I can remove the Starlink. I just pop it off the magnets. Those magnets each hold 100 pounds, so it's about 300 pounds of pull, which sounds like a lot. It's very secure, but you can kind of pop it one side at a time and it comes loose. I can then take that and put it on the ground. Sometimes I actually put it on top of the kayaks if the kayaks are blocking it. It just gives me the ability to move my Starlink around and put it wherever I'm gonna get the best view of an open sky. Okay, then as we go back, I've got the first set of Max Tracks. Like I said earlier, there's 2 Max Tracks here. On the side of the Max Tracks, right here, I have the 75 feet of cord. This is to my Starlink, and it is cam strapped on there with an NRS cam strap. These are super heavy duty 1-inch cam straps, and it is connected onto the handle of the Max Track, and it's just pulled really tight. It doesn't rattle, it's not rubbing on anything, and it's honestly, it's been a wonderful place to carry that extra cord. The Max Track, like I said earlier, is mounted on an Agile Off-Road Max Tracks mount. It has the Max Tracks pins that come up that go through the Max Tracks board, and they turn kind of like a keyhole, and they lock the Max Tracks on there. And I say lock, they're very secure, but you can put a little padlock through those as well that keeps, you know, the honest people honest. It's gonna make it very hard to pop these Max Tracks off. As I start coming back, I'm at my crossbars now. And like I said earlier, I've got the extended crossbars. Now, a lot of you guys have asked on the Winnebago Revel 4x4 Facebook group about my crossbars, and I've sent out this link repeatedly, but there is a link where you can order this kit to get these same crossbars. Now, these will go on the standard Revel roof rack. This crossbar kit, if you want to carry kayaks or surfboards or big stuff up here, it is a really nice thing to have. I'm going to put a link down below of exactly what you need and who to call and what to ask for with the part numbers to order these crossbars if you need those. So here on the crossbars, we have 2 Yakima kayak stackers. These are the most efficient way to carry whitewater kayaks. You know, some people will have these J-hook mounts where it's kind of a cradle and the boat lays in there sideways or diagonally. Those are very secure. They protect your boat well. They're great if you're only carrying 1 or 2, maybe 3 kayaks. But if you're gonna load up your whole roof rack with kayaks, you really need to be able to nest them together. And by having 1 stacker, I can then stack all my boats in here. I can get 4 here, and I can get 2 more on the other side. So it just allows me to kind of build it like almost like a bookend off the sides. The kayak stackers have a hole in the middle and 2 hooks on the end. This allows you to hook your straps to the top of the stacker to then go over the kayaks and connect. There's a lot of ways you can rig your straps. Almost every kayaker does it a little different. But the way that I've found is I've had these custom straps made that have a loop that I girth hitch through the loop in the kayak stacker, and then it gives me 2 buckles. And then on the other end, I have 2 long straps, and this allows me to thread them through the kayaks and around the bar, pulling all the kayaks in and securing them down to the bar, and then run it back into this master point. I usually put the boat that I use the most often on the outside. Having 2 buckles And it allows me to maybe just get that boat loose and leave the others securely attached so I don't have to re-rig the whole thing every time. So this is my own invention. I call it the loop strap double-headed monster. I had a place in Salida, Colorado called Tough River Stuff. They took my idea and sewed these up for me and made these super high strength custom cam straps. And they've worked beautifully. Okay, so as we keep moving back, like I said earlier, I am on this custom standing platform that, geez, it's worked wonderfully. But then I've got my second crossbar, and then on the crossbar here, I have zip tied on the fattest pool noodle that you can get. And I just get these at Walmart. This is nothing fancy, but you get a pool noodle, you take a knife, you cut one slit in it, you can open it up and then slide it over your crossbar. And then I put a couple of zip ties on it just to keep it from blowing off while I'm going down the road. But I typically use these when I've got surfboards on the roof. And I'll put these down and then I put the surfboards on top of it, and it just pads the surfboards because they're a little more fragile than kayaks. And it's nice to give them a little more of a wide, soft base to sit on. Then as we keep moving back, we've obviously got the air conditioner unit. And then I've got my second set of Max Tracks. Now they're on the standard Agile Off-Road Max Tracks mount, just like everybody else has them. But the one thing that I found is I wanted to carry a dead man anchor. Dead Man Off-Road makes this dead man anchor that allows you to potentially winch if you're in like a beach or somewhere on sand. You open this thing up and it looks like a big heavy-duty tarp with some really strong tow straps sewn into it, and you can dig a hole in the sand, bury this thing, fill it back in, and then you can potentially winch off of this. You can also use it around boulders and trees and all kinds of uses, but it's kind of in a long tube-shaped bag, and I didn't quite know what to do with it. I had it inside the van for a while, but it took up a lot of space, and I kind of came up with the idea to strap it on underneath my Max Track. So there's a couple of straps here that allow it to go through the handles and then be suspended underneath the Max Tracks. And I think that's a really great place to store it because one, it's out of the sun, two, it's out of my way, three, it's pretty easy to get to if I need it. So then moving further back, I mean, I've got the lights, which we talked about earlier, and that's about it. Now, the one thing that you might have noticed is missing up here is solar panels. I am a huge fan of solar. I think it's an awesome way. I just love the idea of getting something for free, meaning that I can just park, put my solar panel in the sun, and I come back and I have electricity. That just seems like magic to me, and I love it. But when I added the Starlink and the Star mount, it had to go somewhere. And my last solar panel was up here because really the boats cover up all this other zone and don't make it that great for solar anyway. But I had to remove the last solar panel I had on the roof that was right here. Now I am really thinking that I would love to find some smaller panels and try to fit some more panels in different places and still capitalize on some of that solar. But what I've gone to right now is I just use an external solar panel that I put on the ground. It's the Zamp Obsidian Portable, and I put that on the ground and I can just face it into the sun, and I do have to tend it a little bit, and it's something that it's, you know, you pull into just a parking lot and it's not working for you, but when I am at camp, I'll pop that thing out a lot of times and capture a little sun that way, and that's been really good. But it's all compromised, right? Like you can't have everything up here and still do solar panels, and it just gets to be too much. You know, we've only got a small amount of real estate up here, and I'm trying to do as much as I can with it. Now, you've seen in my other videos, usually the time lapses of me driving, and got this kind of flying down a dirt road type of look. Well, how I do that is right here on my roof rack, I have a 1-inch ram ball mount. Ram makes all these mounting accessories for motorcycles and aviation and vans, and it lets you screw on these little balls and then be able to attach a ram mount that then you can put a variety of things on. And I use it for a GoPro. So I can mount a GoPro here, I can mount GoPros underneath my crossbars, and I've even got balls back here. I can move these balls all around and put them anywhere I need so I can mount a camera wherever I want them. So when I'm doing those long time lapses and I have my GoPro up here in the front, I wired in a USB outlet. This is a waterproof USB outlet. It's mounted underneath the bar, and I can just pop a rubber cover off, plug the GoPro cable in, plug it into the camera, and now I have infinite power, and I can just basically ignore my GoPro battery, which are notorious for running out of juice at the worst possible moment. And now I have just a constant power stream to my GoPros on the roof. Okay, now getting these kayaks on the roof is a little bit of a challenge, and it definitely takes a little bit of technique. If you have a helper here, like my daughter Abby, this is the easiest way to do it. I use my ladder to slide the boats up and down. This allows, if anything's gonna get scuffed, it's gonna be the ladder, and I'm okay with that. I try to never have the boats touch the body of the van or the paint, but we use the ladder as kind of a track to send them up. So Abby's gonna just lift this boat enough where I can grab this grab handle here. Once I've got it, I've got the boat at this point, and then I can just slide it up here with a little pull. Now you can see having something secure to stand on. You know, I've got a nice wide stance here with my feet, and it allows me to really manhandle this boat and pull it up and get it up here safely. Now then I'm gonna take this boat over my kayak stackers, and I could strap this boat on flat if I didn't have many boats. You know, if I just had one or two boats, that's probably the most aerodynamic way to load a boat. But on this instance, I'm gonna stand it on its side, which is gonna give me the most capacity to load more boats. I've got this 20-foot chunk of very stout 1-inch webbing. Now it has a loop tied in this other end. That loop is then girth hitched around the bars, and it's trapped on this crossbar. There's no way it can come off. It can't slide off the ends because the towers are blocking its passage, and the Yakima kayak stacker itself is blocking it as well. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna throw it around the bow, and now it's going underneath the boat, but I also want it to go underneath the bar. So I can see my bar there, and I'm just gonna flip this and pull it up. And now that I can see it's around the bar, I'm gonna pull this boat up, and now the strap on the other side is sliding in, and I am gonna go through the grab handle or the security bar on the boat. Now this basically traps the boat. Even if this strap was to come loose, the boat can't fall off because it is through a fixed point on the boat. Once I've done that, I'm gonna then pull up my double-headed buckles, and I'm gonna thread it through the buckle and pull all this slack through, and then tighten it down. Now you can see here I still have a long tail. I can use this to secure the next boat. So I'm just gonna set this aside for now, and I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna pull off another one of my 20-footers here that's kind of stowed away, and I'm gonna throw it around the stern, pull the slack, flip it around the bar, but I'll do a double wrap around the bar. It allows it to be a little more trapped on the bar and keep the strap from maybe wanting to move because it's got a hitch in it. So that's what I've done here. Now, all these kayaks have security points, and I'm gonna go through the rear security point here, pull the slack through there. Now the boat is trapped again on the other end. And then I'm gonna pull up a buckle and pull this thing tight. Now the boat is on its edge. It's resting between the stacker and the crossbar, and it is secure and ready to go. To load more boats, I'd slide the next boat up. I'd put the next boat over here. On this side, I've got one more space for a boat on the passenger side. I would use this remaining strap to go around that boat and back up through and into my double-headed monster and secure that boat the same way. And actually this gets more secure the more boats you put on it, because it's kind of like a bigger footprint resting on the bar, and it gets a lot less wobbly the more boats you have. But with just one boat, this is super secure, and it's gonna be fine for going down the highway and going off to the river. Okay, now I've shown you the method where you have a helper. But there are times I'm at the river, I'm by myself, and I need to get my boat up here. Let's see how we do that. Okay, so I'm here by myself. I don't have a helper. All I need is a little ingenuity, a little balance, a little climbing skill, and a strap. This is a 9-foot NRS cam strap. Very similar to what I use to hold them on the roof. And I'm just gonna loop this through one of the grab handles on one of the ends. This happens to be the bow. I'm gonna then stand the boat up. I'm gonna put it where it's resting on the ladder, but it still gives me a little room to climb the ladder. Now the key here, and why this takes a little more dexterity maybe, and this might not be a technique that everyone's gonna wanna do, but having the strap gives me something to hold on to. I can also hold on to the security bars of the boat or the cockpit rim. And then I'm gonna climb the ladder here one-handed, which I do this a lot. And I'm keeping the boat off the paint of the van. You know, actually the boat isn't even touching here. I'm balancing it. Then as I get close to the top, I'm gonna slide the boat around so it's squared up to the ladder. Then I'm using this strap, and you can see right there, the boat is just balancing against the ladder, and it's not even really wanting to fall over. But I'm gonna get my strap and make sure it's even, and I'm gonna go on up. Now, I've got my strap, I've got the boat, and I can just slowly pull it up the ladder without a helper. Then once I get it up here, I can just set it down and proceed like normal. So this isn't the ideal way to do it. This isn't my preferred method, but when I am by myself, this allows me to still get my boat on the roof and get on down the road. And as you can see there, the boat just sits nicely on the bars. It's going over the top of the air conditioner. It's got about 1.5 inch clearance there, and it is ready to be strapped down, just like the other one. All right, now once again, to get the boats down, you just kind of repeat the process. If I am by myself, I can do the cam strap method and lower it down until it's balancing on its stern, then carefully climb down the ladder. It's actually a lot more difficult going down than it is going up. And that's not something I really do that often, because usually when I'm going paddling, I'm meeting a paddling partner at the river, and I just wait for them to get there, and then we load boats together. And honestly, 90% of my paddling partners drive Sprinter vans, so we're helping each other do the same method. Okay, now this time I have Abby to help me out. So I'm just gonna grab this boat. This is a whitewater kayak, so it has a really stout cockpit and grab handles. I'm gonna get a good firm grip of the cockpit rim, get a wide stance with my feet, and I'm gonna slide it down the ladder. I can actually grab this other strap over here and kind of use that as a handhold and lower it down to Abby, and she'll tell me when she's got it, and she's got it, and then she can take it on down to the ground. Now, once you've done this 6, 8 times, this is a really easy process, especially if you feel nimble enough to be on the roof of your Sprinter van. Now, if you have balance issues or fear of heights or anything, this might not be the technique for you. Trailers are a great way to go if you want to keep things close to the ground. But for us, giving us the mobility to go off-road and park in tight spots and get back into those out of the way places, having it on the roof is really critical for us. And now you know what's on the roof of my Winnebago Revel. So if you see me going down the road, flash your lights, give me a toot of your horn, but most of all, I hope I see you somewhere over the horizon.